Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be making project number 2 in my Autumn Goodness Create Kit class. Now this Autumn Goodness Create Kit class is available through November 6th. I changed it from November 4th to November 6th. I do have kits ready to go out, but that's while supplies last. So if you're interested, head on over to my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, and check out the details on how you can get a kit as a gift from me with a qualifying purchase when you use my host code. So I hope you're excited to make our project number 2. I will give dimensions and supplies as we go along so that you can make this card with us even if you don't have the kit. Now this card should go relatively quickly. We just need 1 ink, cinnamon cider. We need 1 Stampin' Blend dark cinnamon cider, and then our Wink of Stella clear glitter brush. And let's see, let's go ahead and get our kit. So you're going to need some of the beautiful cinnamon cider cardstock, which is awesome for the autumn projects that we're making. You'll need one of the thick Very Vanilla card bases. Some of you will have them scored, some will not. You'll also need from your stash some regular Very Vanilla cardstock. So this card, we're going to be using some of the beautiful copper brushed metallic cardstock that's in our holiday catalog. So go ahead and get your packet that has this like a wheat design. And from your goodie bag, that's what I call it, you'll need your 2 pieces of the copper ribbon. This is a 6-inch piece and an 8-inch piece. It's from the Basket Weave and Metallic Ribbon combo. So your brushed metallic cardstock is in here with your DSP and along with your pre-cut label for you. This is also cut out of the copper brushed metallic cardstock. So how I got this label started out at 3 7/8 by 3/4 of an inch, and I took it with the lovely labels Pick-a-Punch. There's more of a squared, so I just put it in there and I put it from the back, so that I could see that it went in correctly. And then I punched it, and then I turned it around and I punched it again, and that's how I got this awesome little label for you. So I think we've covered everything we're going to need. So let's clear away some of this and get our trimmer out so we can, well, let me talk about what you need for stamps. So this is the Autumn Goodness Bundle. This is what we're basing this class on. So you'll need that, and let's see what else. You will need the layering ovals dies. They come with plain ovals and scalloped ovals, and this is a nice set for you to have on hand. Now for the inside, this is Plant Kindness Harvest Love. That comes from the Autumn Goodness set. But for the inside, I wanted something that kind of went with the harvest theme. You might have something else at home, or you might have this particular stamp set, Country Home Harvest Blessings. Happy Harvest Blessings is what I chose to go in there because I thought it went with the Plant Kindness Harvest Love. And this is still available, so if you want to pick that up, you can. Or if you have something else, or you could just, whatever kind of card you want this to be. If you have a Happy Thanksgiving stamp, you could use that. Okay, so now we can get started with our cutting. Now I'm going to be doing something a little tricky, and you may or may not go along with it. You may not appreciate it. I don't know, but I'm trying to be frugal, and this is a way that you can be frugal too with your cardstock. We're actually going to cut out of this beautiful copper metallic cardstock. We're going to cut out this oval that goes behind this stack right here. And I'll show you how we're going to do that in just a minute. So this is already cut to size, so you don't have to cut this to size. It is 4 by 5 1/4. So if you're making this at home, 4 by 5 1/4 copper brushed metallic cardstock. And then I already told you how to get the label. Here is our cardstock. I'll bring in my trimmer and we'll get started. Now first of all, we're going to need Very Vanilla, and we need 2 pieces of Very Vanilla. We need them to be 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I believe that is going to be for this and for this. 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to start by cutting this in 5 1/2 like I always do. And then we need 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. So that's almost 5, a quarter away. Okay, so we got our 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. That's going to go on the inside, and then we need another one to do our. So this is our 5 1/2 here. So let's do another 3 1/2. So I've got my 5 1/2 here. I'm going to turn it and do my 3 1/2 right here. And then I'm going to cut this, turn it again, and 4 3/4. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. All right, and then we're going to need, for our Plant Kindness Harvest Love, we need a piece of Very Vanilla that is 3 1/4 inch wide by 5/8 inches tall. I think I'm going to take this piece here that's left, and I'm going to cut it at 3 1/4, and then 5/8. And I'm going to use this side over here, because I find that's easier for smaller items. So here's my 5/8, and that's going to go right on top of this. And that's going to be our sentiment right there. Okay, so these are extras. We'll just put these away along with our other Very Vanilla. We'll keep our card base. Now we're going to do our cinnamon cider, and our cinnamon cider is 3 3/4 by 5. So again, we'll do our 5 1/2. I'm going to get 3 3/4 this way, 3 3/4 that way, and then 5 this way. And that goes behind our sentiment inside the card, just like this. And that will look just fine. Okay, so I believe we are done with our cutting. There is one thing though that I do want to explain. Since we will be cutting out of this, if you want to take a piece of your Very Vanilla that's left over, this here, let's just keep that handy. I'll show you what we're going to do with that. So we can put our excess cinnamon cider away. And we'll do our stamping next. Don't want to get ahead of myself here. Okay, so get our stamp apparatus out. And I'm just going to grab a random ink pad to go underneath here because I'm going to be using my cinnamon cider. This is our inside, and we're going to stamp what we want on the inside, and we're going to stamp on our bundle, harvest bundle here, and we're going to stamp our sentiment here. So we need our 2 pieces of Very Vanilla and our piece of Very Vanilla label. We do need our plastic. It's 4x6 piece of window sheet. If you don't have that, you can use the plastic that comes with your stamps. There's a thicker piece of plastic. You could take your stamps off and use that if you don't have window sheet. So let's go ahead and grab our stamps. We're going to need the bundle, harvest bundle. I'm saying harvest bundle because I don't know what that is for sure. And we're going to need Plant Kindness, Harvest Love. And that is this one here. And then for the inside, I will be doing a different stamp set. It's also photopolymer. I love photopolymer. I'll be using Happy Harvest Blessings. So those are our stamps that we're going to be using. And I guess I'll start with my Happy Harvest Blessings. Put these somewhere. I don't want them to get like, put them back on the, I don't want them to get fuzz on them. Okay, so Happy Harvest Blessings. I'm going to go here at the near the bottom of my 4x6 window sheet, and I'm going to make sure that stays in the corner. Ink that up with my cinnamon cider. That will show me where that's going to stamp, and then I can use that. This is a portrait card, so I want to put it in like this. I can use that to line up my sentiment, and when you're happy with it, you just put one of your magnets there, and I'll set this aside somewhere where it doesn't get ink on anything. Ink that up and stamp. And I'm going to do that again because it's just a little bit, and I'm thinking maybe this is a little too close, so I'm going to move that away and push it down. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay, so we have our Happy Harvest Blessings. I'm going to clean off that stamp and dry it off. And get my microfiber cloth and dry off this that I got from when I bought some glasses. And I will also clean off my plastic, my Happy Harvest off my plastic. And I'll dry that off with my... Now I'm ready to make sure my fingers are dry before I touch this. Set this aside. Now we want to do our next image. And this we're going to die cut, so it doesn't have to be any particular place, just sort of in the center like that. And make sure that stays where I want it. My cinnamon cider again. That might sound a little loud. It sounded louder than it really is. I'm not really banging on it. It just seems like I am. Okay. I might want this a little bit more. That right there. All right, that looks good. Okay, and then lastly, so that's ready. Now let me find my little piece of, we'll need our plastic again. Put our plastic in place. Clean this stamp off. I just love that cinnamon cider. I just think it's the awesome color. And I'm using my I'm not remember what that's called. Stampin' something cleaner. Okay, Stampin' Scrub. That's what that's called. Part of my Stampin' Scrub. Lastly, we're going to do the front sentiment, which is plant, kindness, and I think I'm going to put that, well, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm just going to put it kind of here in the center. Plant, kindness, harvest love, and pick that up. Now this is small, so I'm going to need a piece of scratch paper, and I had some earlier. I don't know what I did with it. I keep this handy. So I'm just going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal on the back, just enough to hold that in place. And I'm going to put it kind of here. I'll slide that under the plastic when I'm ready. And ink up my stamp with the cinnamon cider, plant kindness, harvest love. And I'm going to slide this underneath here and line it up to where I want it. And this is a great technique to use to get your sentiments perfect. Okay, and then I'm going to put remove that and put my magnets in place. And now I will ink my stamp up again and stamp. And of course I want another light stamp of it, so it has a nice rich color. Yay, that's good. And I think that's it for our stamping, so make sure you close it up good. You can put our ink away, clean off our stamp. Clean off your plastic so you don't get ink on anything else that you don't want ink on. Put that away. Now, so make sure your fingers aren't inky and twist it off like this. And I just realized that when we were doing our cutting that we did not trim our DSP to the right size. So grab your DSP and your cutting. If you craft with me, you know this is the normal routine. Okay, so this needs to be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Is that correct? Let me check, because usually it's 4. 3 7/8. Okay. So we got, this is 4, we have to make it 3 7/8. So let's take 1/8 of an inch off the side, just a little, 1/8 of an inch off the side, and then 5 1/8. 5 1/8. Alrighty, and there we go. We are ready to put that on our card now. Now that's going to go on top of this, but remember what I said about, let me put this away. Remember what I said about we were going to be kind of sneaky and we're going to use the inside of this. So let's get out our dies, our layering ovals dies, and let's see, which one are we going to use? Second largest scalloped oval die, which this would be the largest. So this one is the next largest, so it's the second largest. So just find the largest and go down one. All right, we're going to just take that and die cut the center out, or you could kind of do it like where you know that it's going to be here. And bring in our handy dandy die cut machine. This is our Stampin' Cut and Emboss. So for those of you who are kind of new to this, you'll want your number 1 plate, you'll want your number 2 plate, then your number 3, the one I've been cutting on. You can tell it's all scarred up. And then I'm going to put down my cardstock, my die face down with the cutting edge down. I'm going to put it about right there. And then another 3 plate. It's upside down. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to run this through my machine. And that will give me the background. But maybe I am kind of concerned that that's going to make my card kind of lopsided. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back through with that Very Vanilla, not the Very Vanilla that you're going to use for your card base, just the regular Very Vanilla that you have on hand. And I'm going to send that through again with that Very Vanilla. And my plate is crooked. Alright, so we're going to send that through again. And that's going to kind of use that. We're going to use this to fill in our hole. If that makes sense. You'll see. You'll see. It will make sense in a minute. Okay, so we're done with our cutting machine. Let's put it aside. And okay, so this is what we know. We know this is going to be our base, and we know this is going to go on top of it. So let's just go ahead. What is the best way to do this? I think probably let's go ahead and put this on our DSP on our metallic cardstock. And I'm going to use some along the side. I'm going to use some of our awesome handy dandy Stampin' Seal. That's going to go, now there is, okay, I think I have it straightened out now. So, let's see if I can get this on here. It's going to be a little bit off, but that's okay. That's my fault. I cut it a little bit off. Okay, so now on the back, I can put some Stampin' Seal there and just put this in place where it goes in the back, just like that. Now we don't have to worry about a gap in our paper, which is, you know, that's important. We don't want that to happen. So while we also need to die cut our little bundle, our harvest bundle, and that's going to be cut with the second largest, I believe the second largest. Let me check. Nope. Third largest. Yep, third largest oval. So we got 1, 2, and then this is 3. So third largest oval. So just count down 3, and we will, I'm going to put some tape there to hold that in place. We're going to run that through our die cut machine. So we'll bring this back, and that's all set and ready to go. So I'm going to put that in there, and we'll run that through our machine. And this is what we have. That's going to go on front of our die cut brushed metallic cardstock. So I am going to use glue for that, especially after the trouble I had before. And I got a little too close to the edge there. So I'm going to wipe that off. So I don't want it oozing. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this on like that. Press it down so it dries flat. So next we're going to, if you got a piece of the thick berry vanilla that is not scored, you'll want to place it here on a scoring board or use your scoring tool and score it at 4 1/4. Mine's already scored, but I'll do it again just so that you can see what you need to do. Then you're going to fold it away from you and get your bone folder and crease your fold. And that base is now ready. So we're going to bring in some of our things here. Now we need to do some ribbon. So we're going to take our 6-inch ribbon and we're going to put it on our cardstock front, and that's going to be at 1 1/2 inches. So let's go ahead and put some, why don't we go ahead and mark that with a pencil. 1 1/2 and 1 1/2. That's where it's going to, the bottom of the ribbon is going to be, is it the 1 1/2. So let's put some, by that mark, let's put some of our Stampin' seal there and get our 6-inch ribbon. Make sure we get our 6-inch. Kind of flatten it out a little bit. I'm gonna run it there. Put it across the front, then make it even on the ends like this. Find my mark. Now the bottom edge of my ribbon is going to be right at that mark, and that way I know my ribbon will be even in the front, or pretty much even. So now I can put that on the front of my card. Make sure it's opening. Get my Stampin' seal out. I'm going to put some on my ribbon too, and some here in the center. And that's going to go right here, and there's 1/8 of an inch all around for this. Next, we're going to put our sentiment on the front there. I'm going to put little tiny dots of glue. Nothing very big because I don't want it to ooze. And that's going to go in the center of this label here. Straighten it up a little bit. Great. Now that's going to go down here. I'm just going to put that on with some glue as well. Put some in the corners and then a little squiggly in the center. And it looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch from the ribbon. So if you're looking for where to put it, about 1/4 of an inch from the ribbon and then even. Now it looks like it's about 3/8 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch. You don't want it too low. And now we're going to put this on with some Stampin' Dimensionals, mini Stampin' Dimensionals. That's the littler ones. So we'll put those on the back of this. I like the mini ones as opposed to the bigger ones because they're not quite as thick, so they don't give you quite as much dimension. And that little bit of difference makes a difference. And of course, I might use more than I need to, but that's fine. There's plenty of them. And I'm hoping that you don't hear my neighbor's AC unit, but for some reason they turned it on. It's October, but it does get warm during the day, so I can see why they turned it on. All right, almost done. I think I got them all. That's going to go in the center, even between the top and the ribbon, and in the center. You make sure that it's not crooked, not cockeyed. It's a little closer to this edge than that edge. And make it a little straighter. Take your time. This is the focal point. You want it to look right. When you're happy, smash it down. Now we need to do this little center part. I'm going to just use my bullet tip and color the center part. Just gives it a little dimension. And then I'm going to use my Wink of Stella pen. I'm only going to do the leaves, and don't go outside the leaves, because what you're going to find is the Wink of Stella is going to kind of blend that ink in your leaves, and if you go outside the leaf line, you might smear, it might look smeared instead of painted. So this is just going to give it a little bit of, so it's not too plain, but it's not also not too colored. And continue up here. You've got leaves up here as well. I just like the look of that. It looks better than just a plain. And then, you know, I might just do a little bit of here. Not a lot, just a little to give it a little bit of sparkle. Okay, that's enough. I don't want to go overboard. So, plant kindness, harvest love. We need to do the inside. Happy harvest blessings. That's going to go here. And I will use some of my Stampin' Seal. And that's going to go on the inside. Alright, this card is almost ready to send. And now the bow. And how did I do the bow? Okay, so the bow is just going to be like I normally do. Take your 8 inches and you're going to make 2 loops. Let me give you so you can see. And I'm going to make sure that these are flat, that they're not twisted. That way my bow will not be twisted. So my loops are flat up against each other. I might have to convince this bow because it doesn't want to go flat. I'm going to convince it. There, you're convinced. Now I'm going to cross this one over that one. So this is, and keep them flat. You can see I crossed this one over that one. Now this loop is going to go through here, through this loop down here. I'm going to hold it and push with my pinky, well, not my pinky, my index finger. And then when I push it through, I'm going to pinch it and pull. Keep those as flat as possible. And when you get it to the size that you want, that you think would look nice, let's take a look. That is a little bit too small, but when I pull it, I bet it's going to be bigger. Yeah, it's going to get bigger. Now I'm going to make my loops puffy because they got flattened when I flattened them to keep them flat. Now I'm going to make my loops puffy like this, and so that's going to go there, and I want to cut the ends. Get my scissors out. I'm going to cut kind of at an angle across. I'll start doing that, and then I may change it. We'll see. Oh, no, that looks good. I believe. Yep, that looks good. So this one might be a little bit long. I'm going to cut it a little bit. Just a little. And we're going to put that on with a glue dot. And it will hold. It will stay. So you're going to put it on top of your glue dot. If any of it sticks out, just pinch it behind. And then right about there, maybe, yep, that's about where I want it. Right about there, you're going to put your bow. And we are done with project 2. All right, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye now.